My 2022 album of the year is Dragon New Warm Mountain I Believe in You by Big Thief. This is an alternative indie pop project which came out in February of this year under the creative direction of singer songwriter Adrian Lenker. This album is a beautiful conglomerate of indie pop meets Taylor Swift country meets folk. There's some lo-fi hip-hop-esque elements. There's some even soul cuts on this album. It's really just an album that can speak to all sorts of music enjoyers. And let's get into why I love it so much. So first off, I want to talk about 2022 as a year. This year for me was all about the quiet moments. 2020 and 2021 were so big and loud, and this year kind of focused more on the silence after the storm. And in the moments when I was alone are the times where I felt the most impacted by the year, and I had the most time to reflect on myself. And Dragon New Warm Mountain I Believe in You has a lot of those same ideas in it, which kind of is crazy because it came out in February. It foreshadowed the year which would come in front of it, which is just an absolutely mind-boggling thing to think about. Adrian Lenker on this project went absolutely nuts. Her vocals deliver in an insanely huge way. Her lyrics are deep and moving. On this album, it's a pretty large album, 20 tracks, an hour, 20-minute listen all the way through. There is not a single moment where I get disengaged. It holds your attention from note to precious, dripping note. Every note has so much emotion in it. It just demands your attention in a way that is thrilling to listen to. The production takes you on a ride. Adrian Lenker is just insane. There's no way to get around that going into this project. And though it's quite quiet and conserved, the beauty is in the details. It feels almost like an ornate gem where once you start staring at it, its beauty just overcomes you and you want to learn every small detail of it and never let it leave your sight. With that having been said, it is a little bit heavy at times. It touches on pretty deep topics like mental illness and depression. Anxiety is a huge topic you'll see throughout this entire LP. You get on songs like Spud Infinity talking about closed-mindedness in society. And so it's not a super light listen, but it feels like it is a super light listen because the way it's produced is just so phenomenally upbeat and engaging that every hook is memorable and you want to come back to every song again and again. So without any further ado, let's hop right into the track list, starting with the opening track, Change. From the moment the guitar hits, you are immediately drawn into the song as the thick meaty drums just hit perfectly in the background. Adrian brings it in with his creamy vocal performance, and exploring with this vocal performance a very real concept of death, which is dealt with in society today, concerning mental illness as well. It frames death as this other world, which is both scary yet also kind of inviting, which is super deep, and it speaks volumes to the souls of people that live in this day and age. She delivers the lyric, "Death is a door to a place we've never been before. Would you live forever, never die?" Posing it as a question, like she has her hand on the doorknob ready to go in, but then gets scared and pulls back. The song is called Changes, so we obviously see a change being addressed, and that change is Adrian's former SO. It feels like her significant other has moved on, and she's still trying to come to terms with it all. She's in a very tumultuous place as this album starts. You can feel just in the way her words hang almost over a deadly cliff. She says, quote, could I feel happy for you when I hear you talk with her like we used to? Could I set everything free when I watch you holding her the way you once held me?" You can just hear immediately Adrian going into her personal self. She's not afraid to open up. She's been down for so long. It's just a beautiful first song that just enlightens you to the attention grabbing quality the whole LP is going to have for the rest of the 20 tracks. Our second song, Time Escaping, starts crazy, wild guitar. It's going left, it's going right. It's chaotic, it's not pretty. It's gritty and it's weird and it makes you uncomfortable. But that is on purpose because it's giving you that feeling of anxiety. You can even hear Adrienne start clearing her voice, seemingly signaling that she is anxious to perform the song. And then she starts to sing, and with her voice, the chaotic instrumentals turn into a bit of a like toe tapping symphony almost. And the song becomes about living and coping with anxiety, which is just beautiful how the beat was so anxious, but then she started singing and it got like a normal toe tapping symphony beat. But when she isn't singing, it's anxious. So that's how the song is coping with anxiety while talking about coping with anxiety. Just absolutely mind-blowing. We move into the next song, Spud Infinity. This is a very funky, spunky country cut, actually, with some crazy strings going on fire with the violin and a goofy spring noise, which makes you feel like you're straight in the Hoedown the video game, almost. The hook for this one is going to get stuck in your head. Despite being such a flamboyant, upbeat song, it actually explores the closed-mindedness of society, so it's a super cool listen. You're going to want to listen to again and again. Just really speaking to the versatility this whole album has, by opening up with those two songs and then bringing it into this crazy country cut, you'll see that happen more throughout the LP. But now, let's move it on to Certainty. This song is called Certainty, but on this still more twangy country-esque piece, Adrienne seems to be anything but certain. Quote, need to lie here, need to leave. She can't decide if this relationship or this relationship she has, not just a person, but with her anxiety and with her feelings, is a relationship that's good for her or not. And so she's just faking it till she makes it. The drums in the song, again, are just really thick. They invite you perfectly into the vocal performance. Adrienne sings, quote, maybe I love you as a river so high, maybe I love you as a river so low, still, I don't know. This is a super relatable line talking about the concept of love and whether or not it's a good thing in today's society, because it's hard to be loved, it's hard to love. Just the amount she can say in so little words is mind-bogglingly impressive. For the title track here, Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You, it opens with these chimes and this whistling, which fade into a beautiful chord progression and a synth swell, and it really makes you feel like you're up in the mountains and you've just walked out onto your rustic cabin porch. You're just gazing out at the snow-covered landscape and admiring where you are at in life, and she's learned to cope with anxiety, and she's vented a little bit and expressed her ideas, and she's sitting here on this mountain, and the mountain's telling her it believes in her and that she can do it and she can make it over this hard time in her life. But then it switches up, and all of a sudden, quote, there's a dragon on the phone line coughing up a mighty flame. And that dragon that is referring to is the X, or personally, I think it's the anxiety. The anxiety is calling her on the phone and beckoning her back to it. It's lonely and it wants her back. It's just a fantastic storytelling track. Sparrow, the next track on the album. This is one of the more catchy tracks with so many layers of production that just all hit right. You know how it is. A very personal sounding track, yet catchy still. Quote, she has the poison inside her. She talks to snakes and they guide her. That metaphor, referencing love as the forbidden fruit taken by Adam and Eve in the Bible, is just such a cool idea, and it's executed perfectly yet again. After that song, it's gonna kind of scare you moving into Little Thing, because the guitar comes out in the song swinging. It's going for it from the moment the song opens, and oh boy, let me tell you what, this is one of the loudest songs on the whole project. This LP is not exactly in your face. It's quiet and reserved and personal. But there's something poetic in the fact that this song is the loudest song, it's the most in your face, and she's talking about the little things in life. The details of romance that she enjoys and the details of romance that she hates. It's like she sees through the chaos of the world into the subtle beauty of human relations. Really cool. Also, it's just like a head bopper. You know, it's an indie cut that has that classic indie sound that you're used to with albums in this genre. And it just gives us like a view of what she's feeling up in the warm mountain as she's looking out on her life from where she's at now, having already talked about her coping with anxiety and such. Heavy Bend, one of the shorter tracks, but also one of the most experimental. We get some maracas or shakers of some kind, and they're backing up an overarching harp piece, which is just a very natural and pure sound. But then in the background, there's lo-fi inspired kicks, basses, and synths which jump in and out of the background of this melodic song, turning what would be a fairly major piece into an almost desolate dystopian vibe, and it bangs. It works perfectly. Moving on past Heavy Bend, we're kind of at a flipping point in the album where that first arc of her mental health is kind of ended, and now we're going into a new arc, starting with Flower of Blood and Shut the Front Door. This song is so dope. That soft electronic guitar comes on and it just captivates you, draws you in. You're on the edge of your seat, and then boom, the drum chorus comes in, the band is going crazy, and all of a sudden you have a phenomenal soft sounding 1990s reminiscent rock song on this album. We've heard country, we've heard indie pop, and now we got rock. The versatility is just insane. The song speaks for itself. It's fabulous. Unbelievable rock song. Came out of nowhere. Definitely a personal favorite on the album for me. And that moves right into Blurred View, which here we're getting a return of that experimental lo-fi style that we saw on Hard Bend, or Heavy Bend rather, excuse me. We're seeing that return where you have those deep synth cuts over that otherworldly drum line it's got going on. And then you top it off on this song with the best vocal performance possibly that we've heard yet from Adrienne Lenker. She just delivers every line so deliberately. That distortion on her voice gives the perfect vibe for the soundscape that we're going for in this album. And I love the attention to detail she makes. You can hear every time she breathes in like that, and it adds such another level to what she's trying to achieve on this track. Awe-inspiring song in the form of Blurred Vision, as she talks about a monster that is haunting her in her life. It's a must listen to, honestly. Red Moon brings us right back out of this lo-fi dystopian, and then there was a hard rock song. Now we're back to that country-inspired style. We got fiddles, the guitar is plucking, and the drums are being whacked out with a pep in the step, so to say. After all the singing is over, there's a little whistling section, which is just a wonderful touch. It adds so much fun to this otherwise a little interesting, a little strange song. It's about menstruation. Not my favorite song on this whole project, but not bad by any means. I mean, I'm sitting here going like this to it when I'm listening. I'm whistling right along. And speaking of going right along, here we go into Dried Roses. This is an indie pop sounding emo cut, actually, about depression, but it's played with a crazy synth and a country violin. So it's an indie pop song, which is actually an emo song, which is played with country instruments. So it's just crazy that Big Thief can seamlessly mesh all these styles so well to create a captivating experience like they have. Going on to No Reason. This is one of the most groovy hooks on the whole album, let me say. Again, we flawlessly shift back into that soft rock style, which is very reminiscent of bands like the Chili Peppers and Candlebox, yet it's still very unique. It's its own style because Big Thief is just insanely creative when it comes to this kind of stuff. This is another one of my personal favorites. It's on basically every playlist I have. It's in the rotation constantly. Lots of replay value on No Reason. Wake Me Up to Drive. Very chill hip-hop inspired beats on this one. A little synth lead riff in the song that goes pretty hard. It's super clean and very addictive synth lead, honestly. As this beat-focused song, Adrienne Lenker lets her soft vocals fade peacefully into the background to bring the beat forward, which is amazing. I love her I love her vocal performance. The atmospheric cut, which is "Wake Me Up" to Drive, it's an atmospheric cut. That's what it is. It's beautiful. Promise is a Pendulum. This is a very calm song, almost nostalgic. It feels like you're in an 80s movie. It's an interpretation where Adrian just paints beautiful lyrical images over the top of the band's amazing guitar. Just the little pops, slides, and other little flaws in the instruments that they choose to leave on purpose make this album so much more real, and it's perfect for such a personal album for Adrian to have these little personal details left in. The metaphors and personification in the song just hits so differently because of it. Top tier writing. Moving into 12,000 Lines. This is a classic pop love song about longing for your lover. The line cross 12 letters down cross 12 letters down insinuates that she wrote 10,000 lines per letter, which just conveys her obsession with the love that she's found. Nothing too stunning on this track, but still very, very solid. I like the second vocal artist that joins for this song. Very smooth performance from them as well. Now we hit Simulation Swarm. This song goes sicko mode. We are gifted, graced even, by another psychedelic, banging synth lead like we had on No Reason. Back in Simulation Swarm, to another level. This song blasts you into some faraway sci-fi world in this crazy, complex imagination of Miss Adrienne Lenker. And the lo-fi influence just gets so strong and, frankly, so much more fire than No Reason. And the further you get into this track, it gets more and more psychedelic and crazy, which kind of also goes along with the idea that it's a simulation, because the further you get into the simulation, the more wacky and lo-fi it gets. Probably the number one track on this LP for me, although they all steal my heart. This one is just on another level. They're all on another level. Speaking of on another level, here's Love, Love, Love. The vibrant guitar on this track just gives it a flashy, vintage vibe. And vocally, Adrian delivers a shockingly soulful performance, believe it or not. So we have the vintage, vibrant guitar with a soulful performance coming in from Adrian. And so just when you thought it was impossible to be any more versatile, Big Thief delivers yet again. This song in particular is just so fun to sing along with. Very memorable. Once you know the words, it's going to hang inside your heart. The back half of this album is just so strong, maybe even stronger than the front half, if you can believe it. There's so many good things to say. Unfortunately, we are kind of wrapping it up here on our 19th track of The Only Place, as we get to a song where the music really carries. To experience this song, you kind of have to put in your headphones and close your eyes and just let the music take you on the ride which it was meant to take you on. The lyrics also do an amazing job of wrapping up the concept of reaching for the stars with crazy extraterrestrial beats and the vague metaphorical lyrics, while going on a crazy adventure through worldly struggles and relationships, and really studying society on this album. So it's a crazy concept album, but The Only Place does a good job at bringing it back, because, as it says, it all comes back to the only place that matters is next to you. Kind of completing the full hero's journey on this LP, if you will. We've gone from humble beginnings all the way through the changes and back to the beginning, and we're about to start looking back and reminiscing. Think of this as like the conclusion of the story, and then Blue Lightning, our next track, is going to be the epilogue. So Blue Lightning is a very crazy experimental track, production-wise, with a guitar that's so distorted, it almost sounds like a horn, and it tops off a nice swing beat to bring it back to kind of an upbeat note to end on, which is just perfect, and you'll see why. Adrian goes crazy vocally yet again, but the reason I love this track so much, and the reason I couldn't stop smiling when I was listening to it, is because it's like the Hobbit Shire theme playing as Bilbo looks back at the mountain where he had all his great adventures, and he's smiling and crying, and he's changed so much, and it's finally over, but he doesn't know if he wants it to be, but he's happy because he is where he is, and that's where he's supposed to be. And Adrian seriously does the same thing here, because at the start of this LP, at the start of this record, she was seriously contemplating death and even being interested in it, studying it. But as she went through, she learned how to deal with her anxiety. She learned about worldly struggles. She fought demons. She fought monsters, even on stories like, or on songs rather, like Blurred View. And she's made it all the way around the hero's journey. She's back, and she sings joyfully on this song, I Want to Live Forever Till I Die. On the first song, she was singing, do you want to live forever till you die? And now she knows that she wants to live forever till she dies, because she wants to live in this happiness that she's found, and she's found so many good things throughout this album. But also, it's okay if she dies, because she's accomplished what she set out for in life, and she's found her place. It's so poetic and life-changing to make it all the way through Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You, and get here, because you learn Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You is really about you more than it is about Adrian, because you can get over your struggles and climb the mountains in your life, and Adrian believes in you is what she's saying here on this track. And someday you'll go back to your hometown, your humble beginnings. You'll look at the mountain you just climbed and scream, I want to live forever, which is just a mind-blowing conclusion. I'm so obsessed with this record, and you have to be something special to make my album of the year, and I'm so glad I found this project and that I get to share it with you. Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You is so many things. It's a collage album, it's a story album, it's a concept album, and it truly has something for everyone. I can't possibly gas it up enough, so go listen to it. Just go listen by yourself, listen at night, listen in the day, listen in the car, listen at school, listen with your friends, okay? Share this album. Holler its name from the rooftops. Album of the year 2022, Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You.